In a far corner of New Delhi's
Chanakyapuri
are the elegant quarters of the Vivekananda International Foundation. The foundation invited His Holiness the Dalai Lama to speak today about the relevance of ancient Indian thought in today's world. Director General N C Bij met His Holiness on arrival and escorted him to a meeting room upstairs in which about 250 people were packed. His Holiness the Dalai Lama greeting his old friend, former BBC New Delhi Bureau Chief Mark Tully on his arrival at the
Vivekananda
International Foundation in New Delhi, India on February 8, 2017. A small group of ladies from Buddhist community Mrs.
Ranjana Barua
and Mrs.
Rupa Barua
chanted a peace invocation and verses of the Buddhist refuge in Pali.
Sadasuti bhavantu te bhavatu sabba mangalam rakhantu sabba devata sabba samganubhavena sadasuti bhavantu te.
Director General N C Bij introduced His Holiness to the gathering and requested him to address them, which he proceeded to do by saying, "Dear brothers and sisters, it is indeed a great honor for me to be here and able to speak to you in this institution that venerates the memory of Swami
Vivekananda.
I have visited the rock sacred to him at
Kumari,
and I have also attended meetings of the Parliament of the World's Religions that he famously addressed in Chicago in 1893. Many people were moved by the vision he expressed, but lately I felt the organization had become a bit sleepy. I told them so, and when they invited me to attend their meeting in Salt Lake City they assured me that they had been reinvigorated, but in the end I was unable to attend. His Holiness observed that in modern India, as greater material development becomes the goal, less attention is paid to values like
ahimsa
and
karuna.
But he suggested that if you were motivated by karuna, you would be less ready to exploit others' rights. He appealed this to his listeners. His Holiness was eager as ever to answer the audience's questions. The first question was, "You are 82, how do you manage to look so young?" He replied, "That's my secret." He went on to explain that he sleeps a good 9 hours a night and gets up at 3 to begin 5 hours meditation, which he clarified is mostly analytical. Despite the difficulties he has encountered in his life, losing his freedom at 16 and his country at 24 and receiving a steady stream of sad news from Tibet, this routine has prepared him to maintain his peace of mind. Prompted to address misapprehensions about Islam, His Holiness declared that the label Muslim terrorist is wrong, because the moment someone commits an act of terrorism they are contradicting the teachings of Islam. He repeated what Farooq Abdullah had told him, and scholars elsewhere have confirmed, that jihad actually refers to personal combat with negative emotions. He affirmed his view that the use of force is counterproductive, pointing out that when a father is killed his children feel pain to which they want to respond. Responding to a question about Tibetan medicine, His Holiness referred to an international conference that took place in 8th century Tibet attended by representatives of the
Ayurvedic,
Chinese and Yunani traditions. Elements of their practice combined with Tibet's native practices evolved into the Tibetan medical tradition. He admitted regularly taking Tibetan medicine himself, which he
ancient
regards
Indian
as
sort of
having
tradition,
strong preventative qualities.
Indian knowledge. Firstly, about mind,
interest.
about
Scientists are beginning to take in the understanding of the mind that derives from ancient Indian tradition. He mentioned the conversation with the Swami of Mayas in Bangalore in which
So
he
now,
acknowledged the
we need
concentration
secularly,
insight,
according to Indian understanding, secular means
are found
not
in both Hindu and Buddhist
based or
practice.
depend on
What
religion.
differentiates the traditions is that the one supports the idea of
Atma,
an enduring self, while the other relies on
Anatma.
selflessness, but he made clear that which you choose is a private decision. He also recalled that when a friend, a Catholic monk, one day asked him about emptiness, His Holiness told him not to ask, saying it wasn't his business. He reported what cognitive therapy pioneer Aaron Beck told him about the way anger works in making us see the object of our anger as almost completely negative, when 90% of the judgment is just mental projection. Mark Tully wanted to know if the Nalanda tradition had anything to say about economics. His Holiness replied that the huge and growing gap between rich and poor, even in wealthy nations, indicates a prevalent lack of moral principles. Director General N C Bij brought the meeting to a close and thanked His Holiness for sharing his thoughts. For his part, His Holiness took time as he left the room to greet old friends, shaking and holding their hands as he exchanged recollections with them.